Hey guys, it's Independence Day time, and what better way to talk about true crime in terms of someone who went from being a hero and turned into a traitor. And we're talking about none other than Bendict Arnold. So stick around, we're going to get all into it, and hopefully you learned something that you didn't know before about him.
Hey there, Agent Wells. What are you up to?
I'm celebrating America's Independence Day.
That's awesome.
Land of the free and the home of the brave.
Well, today we will be talking about one man who was not patriotic at all. We will be talking about none other than Bendict Arnold.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain.
I like that. That's cool. Hey everyone, we're Studio 7L.
It's your girl Shabbat.
And I'm Ed. And today, like I said, we're talking about Bendict Arnold. But before we get any of that stuff.
Yes, this is for education, entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research. And always be kind to everyone, friends, family, strangers.
Yep. And from time to time, we may or may not have the comments open. But if we do, please be kind there. Sometimes we have to shut it down, unfortunately, but yeah, that'd be great. And so let's get into today's topic.
Bendict Arnold.
Hero turned traitor. And who's going to guide us through is, if you saw just before that little skit with Crime Force, that's our AI investigation team or unit. And not only they created with AI, but they use AI tools to help us with some of the information that we learn about these topics. So true crime focus today is on this hero who turned traitor, Bendict Arnold. I know a lot of you may know the high-level story about how he was on our side and then went to the British side. I don't think many people know just where he was from. You might be surprised.
Oh, yeah.
And
I was surprised.
the hero side more before he became traitor. And even some people may say, well, I kind of understand how he got kind of screwed over.
Come on, I want to watch the show.
I know, I'm trying to give a little more teaser to it. So, without further ado, early life of Bendict Arnold, take it away, Crime Force.
Bendict Arnold was born on January 14, 1741, in Norwich, Connecticut.
Where we live in Connecticut.
Before the Revolutionary War, his life was shaped by family struggles, business ventures, and military experience. Here's a bit about his early life and family. Arnold was born into a wealthy family, but his father, Bendict Arnold III, became an alcoholic, leading to financial troubles. His mother, Hannah Waterman King, worked hard to provide for the family. Despite early struggles, Arnold was well educated for his time. At age 14, he was sent to an apprenticeship with his cousins in an apothecary, pharmacy, business in Norwich.
Wow.
Nice.
In his 20s, Arnold became a successful merchant, trading in goods like books, drugs, and weapons. He traveled frequently between the American colonies and the West Indies. Pre-war military experience. Arnold joined the Connecticut militia during the French and Indian War, 1754 to 1763. He served briefly but saw little action and eventually returned to his business. Arnold had smuggling and conflicts with British authorities. Arnold opposed British taxation policies, particularly the Stamp Act, 1765.
Many people did back then.
He engaged in smuggling to avoid British trade restrictions.
Aha.
His business was impacted by British regulations, fueling his resentment toward the British government. By the time the Revolutionary War began in 1775, Arnold was a well-established businessman and an experienced leader, making him an ideal candidate for military command in the American forces. However, his financial troubles and ambitious nature would later contribute to his infamous decision to betray the American cause.
Wow.
That was a good background. It kind of gave, a little bit about... he was born in Connecticut. That's where we are. We know where Norwich is, too.
Yeah.
So
nice town. Rich town.
Yeah, it's not too bad. And what was really interesting is how he worked in Norwich, and he despised the taxation and kind of went around doing his own business around the whole British control on that. So that's interesting. So he'd make a great, sounds like he's a good fit for being a patriot and being on the colonial side. So his military success in the American military, meaning the colonial colonies army. So this will be interesting because I don't think many people know of a lot of his successes.
Bendict Arnold had an eventful and impactful military career during the American Revolutionary War, 1775 to 1780. He was one of the most talented and daring generals in the Continental Army, earning a reputation for bravery and strategic skill. Here are some notable achievements Arnold had with the American Colonial Army. 1775, the Siege of Boston and capture of Fort Ticonderoga. At the start of the war, Arnold joined the fight against British forces in Massachusetts. He played a key role in capturing Fort Ticonderoga in May 1775, alongside Ethan Allen and the Green Mountain Boys. The fort provided much-needed artillery for the Continental Army, which was later used in the Siege of Boston. 1775 to 1776, the invasion of Canada. Arnold led a grueling expedition through the wilderness of Maine to Quebec, hoping to rally Canadian support against the British. The campaign ended in failure after a disastrous attack on Quebec City on December 31, 1775.
That's pretty far up there.
Arnold was wounded in the leg but managed to hold off British reinforcements, earning recognition for his leadership. 1776, the Battle of Valcour Island. Arnold organized and led an improvised American fleet on Lake Champlain, delaying a British advance from Canada. Although his fleet was destroyed, the battle bought crucial time for American forces to prepare for future engagements. His efforts helped prevent an early British offensive into New York. 1777, the Saratoga Campaign, Arnold's greatest victory. Arnold was a key commander in the pivotal battles of Saratoga, September-October 1777. He clashed with his superior, General Horatio Gates, but led a decisive charge at the Battle of Bemis Heights on October 7, 1777, which contributed to the British surrender. He was seriously wounded in the same leg he injured in Quebec. Many historians credit him as one of the primary reasons for America's victory at Saratoga, which led to France officially joining the war on the American side.
Come on, Kat. So you could see really quickly that he was involved in a lot of battles, got wounded twice. A lot of stuff that he did was positive towards the colonial army, whether in terms of getting France involved or delaying things or getting the cannons there needed or whatever he did in those battles to make substantial progress in those areas. So he was considered like, hey, this dude's making some progress, because I don't want to get into other generals and colonels at the time, but there was others that were not having that type of success. Let's just leave it like that.
So he was successful.
So let's talk about the frustration, resentment, and defection, and then we can talk about further. Sorry guys, I got something in my eye, so I'm kind of rubbing it a little bit here.
1778 through 1780, frustration, resentment, and defection. Frustration with the Continental Congress. After his heroics at Saratoga, 1777, Arnold expected a significant promotion, but instead, he was passed over for promotion in favor of less experienced officers.
You see?
He clashed with General Horatio Gates, who tried to take credit for the Saratoga victory. His leg wound from Saratoga left him partially crippled, making him feel sidelined. Arnold believed he deserved more recognition and that Congress did not properly reward his sacrifices. Accusations of corruption and court-martial, 1779. In 1778, George Washington appointed Arnold as military governor of Philadelphia, but his lavish lifestyle and questionable financial dealings led to trouble. He married Peggy Shippen, April 1779, a wealthy and well-connected loyalist from Philadelphia. Peggy had British ties, and her influence likely pushed Arnold closer to the loyalist cause. Arnold faced multiple accusations of using his position for personal financial gain, including profiteering from war supplies, using government resources for private business, and taking bribes and abusing his power. In May 1779, Arnold was court-martialed for misconduct. The trial dragged on for months. In January 1780, he was found guilty of minor offenses and received a public reprimand from Washington. Though not severely punished, Arnold saw this as a final insult. Turned toward treason, secret negotiations with the British. Angry at Congress, in debt, and feeling betrayed, Arnold began secret negotiations with the British in May 1779. His main British contact was Major John Andre, an intelligence officer under General Sir Henry Clinton. Through Andre, Arnold offered his services to the British in exchange for money and a high-ranking position in the British Army. The British saw Arnold as a valuable asset, given his military expertise and insider knowledge of American defenses.
He had a lot to offer.
Command of West Point and the Betrayal Plot, 1780.
West Point.
In August 1780, Arnold convinced George Washington to give him command of West Point, a key strategic fort on the Hudson River. Arnold planned to surrender West Point to the British, which would have severed the Continental Army's supply lines and given Britain a major strategic victory. In exchange, Arnold was promised £20,000 and a British general's commission.
General, that's pretty good.
Exposure and escape, September 1780. On September 21, 1780, Arnold met secretly with Major John Andre near West Point to finalize the deal.
Wow.
A few days later, September 23, Andre was captured by American forces near Tarrytown, New York. He was found carrying documents detailing Arnold's betrayal.
Oops.
The papers were immediately sent to General Washington. Arnold escaped just in time after learning of Andre's capture. He fled to a British warship, HMS Vulture, on the Hudson River. His wife, Peggy Shippen, pretended to be innocent and avoided punishment. Aftermath, Andre's execution and Arnold's fate. Major John Andre was executed as a spy on October 2, 1780, despite attempts to trade him for Arnold. Arnold officially joined the British Army, receiving his promised £20,000 and a general's commission. However, the British never fully trusted him, and he spent the rest of the war leading minor raids against his former comrades. So why did Arnold betray America? Arnold's treason was fueled by personal resentment toward Congress and fellow officers, financial desperation from unpaid debts, influence of his loyalist wife, Peggy Shippen, desire for recognition that he felt the British would give him. His name remains synonymous with treason, despite his early heroism in the Revolution. Despite being a hero of the early war, Arnold's name became synonymous with treason. His military talent was undeniable, but his ambition, wounded pride, and financial troubles drove him to switch sides. After his betrayal, he served as a British general but was never fully trusted, ultimately living the rest of his life in exile in England.
Too much money, maybe.
Or not enough.
Not enough.
Or... All right. Thank you, Crime Force. Great job as usual. We appreciate you guys. All right. Let's talk about this, Shrek. So, do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
I'll let you go first.
All right. So, this was kind of complicated because it was clearly in the beginning, Arnold really had loyalty to the colonies. He didn't like the taxation. He was a typical patriot. He did a lot. He did a lot of successes, got wounded, was passed over. We're not sure, or I'm not sure, when his financial stuff started to happen. Was it during, was it before, was it after? You know, was it just basic stuff, or because he wasn't getting paid enough, or was it the fact that he wanted more, he wanted the power, overspent like some people do, and got himself into trouble? And of course, with his Peggy Shipman, the girl he married, and having the British ties, and who knows the influence, how it affected there. So he went from being very successful, getting himself in a little trouble, which is his own fault, right? And then he gets reprimanded, and he's like, enough of this. I deserve better. I want to go to the other side. Some of it you can understand a bit because you work really hard, you get passed over, but that passing over is not just, in my mind, because of you, and not because of your military, or it could be some of the other things you're doing. Maybe you can't be trusted to be in those positions if you're getting yourself into those type of trouble with money. I think one of the things is when he was that military governor of Philadelphia, I think that was the test of like, okay, if you could do that, then you can do other things. But as you know, as being a boss, you give somebody that responsibility and they're causing noise. It's like this even in the business world.
Yeah.
You cause a lot of noise. That's causing aggravation for George Washington, the boss. Now you have to go and reprimand. You think you're going to, give that person other responsibilities. It's very complicated. We don't know what order, what things have happened, but
right.
But he just had enough of it and went over. And you can understand. I'm not saying it was justified. I'm just saying you can understand.
Right.
I was like, I'm going to take the better deal. And of course, the British are like, you're a traitor. Why the hell were you ever going to trust you? You're just going to sit over there off to the side.
Right. I mean, you can look at this at many sides, right? Like he definitely was loyal, right, at one point to the U.S., but then things just changed for the worse. Like you said, the taxes, he's very patriotic. He wanted to just definitely be here. But a lot of things was interrupted and he decided, I mean, this happens in today's world as well. I say that history always repeats itself, right? This happens now. So this is something that he decided to just transfer over to the other side, the British. But they never felt that confident in him because he could always go back. And so it was something that's
they
like,
did
okay,
give him his deal, but...
Yeah, they gave him a deal, but they always then was 100% confident in Benedict, unfortunately. But
I don't think he got what he was told, but I don't think he got what he really wanted.
Yeah.
And plus, too, I know a little bit about more historical stuff behind this whole thing. And at a time, too, General Washington was getting bombarded by people, colonels that, like Colonel Hamilton, he was young. I think he was like one of the first youngest, either colonel or general. Mm-hmm. He had all these people that just wanted to be on top of power, so he was bombarded, and he had people taking credit for where credit wasn't due, and people screwing. There's a lot of historical. It's a lot of tough time back then, but
I think that still happens today too, though.
Yeah.
People always want power. And back then, I guess the organization of George Washington and wanted to give people power, it just was just too much. Like you said, he created noise. And if he would have been probably more of upscale, right? Or more loyal or successful. But he did success, but everybody just want the same thing, which is power, money and power.
And I can't remember, but even though Washington had reprimanded him, I think he found him. He was very what's the word I'm looking for? He thought highly of Bendict Arnold, because I'm trying to remember now. But when he found out that Arnold betrayed him, he went after him. They almost caught him. He went after him big time. But I think George Washington was like quiet for a while after that, or he was really, really upset by it. So he must have had some kind of decent relationship with him. Very, very interesting story, but because we're around Independence Day, I thought this was a good one to cover because it is a crime, treason, and it's a start of all. And people say, "Oh, don't be a Benedict Arnold," or
But did he ever spend any time in jail?
No, he was never. He was almost captured. I forgot. That's a whole story itself. I probably should have went into more detail on that. That his escape, but yeah. So thank you guys so much for joining us. And that was a quick one today for just, celebrating our Independence Day. It's good to know, it's amazing. If you ever take the time, read up about the Revolution, the ins and outs of it, even though there's a lot of things out of the Revolutionary War that weren't good, like they weren't able to get rid of slavery, and there's some other things that were really bad. It's just really amazing how the country was able to pull it off and defeat the best army in the world. It's just a really fascinating time. Anyhow, come back, join us. If you want to subscribe, that'd be awesome. We have memberships, but we just want you guys to watch our shows. We really appreciate watch with us, learn with us. We do scary true crime, old stuff, new stuff, anything true crime related. So if you like true crime in general,
we all over the place.
Come check us out because we cover it all. And any final thoughts?
Yes,
or
just want to
words?
say again, thanks for watching. And till next time, Studio 70.
Studio 70.